Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 2019 文藻盃 National English Poetry Reading Contest. On behalf of the English Department of Wenzhou Ursula University, we want to welcome you and as well as the guests from all over Taiwan. We are today's hosts. I'm Esther.
And I'm Claire. Thank you for participating in this contest. We are honored to have you here with us this afternoon.
We want to congratulate all the contestants for you are the representatives of your schools or colleges. And now we want to show our appreciation to our guests from all over Taiwan.
Now I would like to introduce the honorable judges. They are Professor Rudy Chuwen from National Yonshan University, Professor Jeffrey Denton from National Kaohsiung University of Science and Technology, Professor David Gordon from National Pingtung University. And now, please welcome the Deputy Chair of English Department of Wenzhou Ursula University of Languages, Dr. Zhang Yihuang, to give us some remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to say thank you so much for coming to Wenzhou, and I would like to say welcome to Wenzhou, and welcome to 2019 文藻盃.文藻盃has been a very important tradition for the English departments at Wenzhou. So we are very grateful for all of you for coming down here to Kaohsiung. This weekend, especially tomorrow, is Mother's Day. So I know a lot of students will be trying to go home and celebrate the holiday with their mothers instead of coming down to Wenzhou. But we have participants from all over Taiwan to come and join us today. So we would like to say thank you very much for coming. And today we are also very grateful that we have all those honorable judges from all this wonderful university to come and be our judges today. So I just have to say I'm very looking forward, I'm very excited about how you're going to present and bring all those poems alive. So my last word is good luck, and I can't wait to see how it goes. Thank you very much.
Before the contest begins, we would like to remind you that no form of recording such as photo taking, video taping, and audio recording is allowed. Also, on contestants, please wear your number tag on your left chest. During the contest, you are not allowed to reveal the name of your school in any form. We will videotape the entire contest and send you a copy after this.
Now, please allow me to explain the rules. First of all, the poem you are going to read must be one of the poems posted online. Secondly, you must not exceed 5 minutes. At 4 minutes and 30 seconds, the yellow sign will be displayed and the ring will be heard once. At the 5th minute, the red sign will be displayed and the ring will be heard twice. Once the red sign is up, the team must stop reading the poem immediately.
If your recitation exceeds 5 minutes, one point will be deducted from every 30 seconds. If your reading lasts for less than 5 minutes and 30 seconds, it will be rounded up to 5 minutes and 30 seconds. All contestants will be evaluated according to the criteria of 2019 文藻盃National Contest. Every recitation will be scored according to its interpretation, 50%, delivery, 20%, pronunciation, 20%, and teamwork, 10%.
We'd like to remind you that neither acting, costumes, nor music will be counted as part of the score. Should any team be found assisted by non-contestant during the contest, such as gestures or hints, will be disqualified. Also, the number of team members will be consistent with the registration, or the team will be disqualified as well.
The contest will begin in 1 minute. Kindly return your mobile phone to silent mode or switch it off.
Let's welcome team number 1. Team number 2, please stand by. Team number 1 has topic, the shield of Achilles.
The Shield of Achilles
by W.H. Auden.
She looked over his shoulder. From vines and olive trees, marble will govern cities, and ships upon untamed seas. But there on the shining metal, his hands had put instead an artificial wilderness, and a sky like lead. A plain without a feature, bare and brown, no blade of grass, no sign of neighborhood, nothing to eat and nowhere to sit down. Yet, congregated on its blankness, stood an unintelligible multitude.
A million eyes, a million boots in line,
Without expression, waiting for a sign.
waiting for a sign. Out of the air, a voice without a face,
Proved by statistics that some cause was just
in tones as dry and level as the place.
no one was cheered and nothing was discussed.
Column by column, the cloud of dust, they marched away, during a belief was large and broad and somewhere else.
To grieve.
She looked over his shoulder.
For ritual packings, white flower garlanded heifers,
Libation and sacrifice. But there on the shining metal, where the altar should have been,
she saw by his flickering torchlight
quite another scene.
barbed wire enclosed an arbitrary spot where board officials lounged.
One cracked the joke.
And centuries wicked, for the day was
Hot.
a crowd of ordinary decent folk, watched from without, neither moved nor spoke, as three pale figures were led forth and bound.
To three posts, driven upright in the ground.
The mass and majesty of this road, all that carries weight and always weighs the same, lay in the hands of others.
They were small.
And could not hope for help, and no help came.
What their folks like to do was done.
Their shame was all the words could wish. They lost their pride and died as men
Before their bodies died.
She looked over his shoulder
For athletes,
at their games,
men and women
in a dance,
moving their swift
limbs
quick to music.
But there on the shining shield, his hand had said, "No dancing floor."
But a weed choked field.
A ragged urchin, aimless and alone, loitered about that vacancy. A bird flew up to safety from his well-aimed stone.
That girls are raped.
That two boys, knife a third, were axiom to him, who'd never heard of any road where promises were kept. Or one could weep.
Because another wept.
The thin-lipped armor of her face has hollowed away. Theater of shining breasts, cried out in dismay at what the god had wrought to please her son. The strong, iron-hearted, manslay Achilles, who would not live long.
Who would not live long.
Thank you, team number 1.
Next, let's work on team number 2. Team number 2 has a topic, the end and the beginning. Team number 3, please stand by.
The End and the Beginning by Wisława Szymborska, translated by Joanna Zeksha. After every war, someone has to clean up. Things won't straighten themselves up after all. Someone has to push the rubble to the side of the road, so the corpse-filled wagons can pass. Someone has to get mired in scum and ashes, sofa springs, splintered glass, and bloody racks. Someone has to drag in a girder to prop up a wall. Someone has to glaze a window, rehang a door. Photogenic it's not and
Of
takes
course
years.
not.
All the cameras have left for another war.
We'll need the bridges back,
The
and
bridges,
new railway
railway
stations.
stations.
Sleeves will go ragged from rolling them up. Someone, broom in hand, still recalls the way it was.
It was the way.
Someone else listens and nods with unsevered head. But already, there are those nearby starting to mill about who would find it all. From out of the bushes, sometimes someone still unearths rusted out arguments
Arguments
and
are
carries them
garbage.
to the garbage pile. Those who knew what was going on here must make way for those who know little.
And less than little.
And finally,
As little as nothing. In the grass that has overgrown causes and effects,
someone must be stretched out, blade of grass in his mouth,
gazing at the clouds.
Thank you, team number 1. Now let's welcome team number 3. The topic is when coldness wraps this suffering clay. Team number 4, please stand by.
When coldness wraps this suffering clay.
By Lord Byron.
When coldness wraps this suffering clay. Whither strays the immortal mind?
It cannot die.
It cannot stay, but leaves its darkened dust behind.
Then, unembodied, though it trace by steps each planet's heavenly way, or fill at once the realms of space, a thing of ice, let us survey. Eternal,
Boundless, undecayed, a thought unseen,
but seen all,
all in earth, or skies displayed.
shall we survey?
Shall we recall each fainter trace that memory holds so darkly of departed years? In one broad glance, the soul beholds, and all that was at once appears. Before creation peopled earth,
Its eyes shall roll through chaos back.
and where the farthest heaven had birth,
The spirit trace its rising track.
and where the future mars or makes,
Its gleams dilate or all to be.
while sun is quenched or system breaks,
Fixed in its own eternity.
above or love, hope, hate, or fear.
It lives all passionless and pure.
An age shall flee like earthly year. Its years as moments shall endure. Away, away, without the wind.
O'er all, through all, his thought shall fly,
A nameless and eternal thing.
forgetting what it was to die.
Thank you, team number 3.
Now let's welcome team number 4. The topic is the end and the beginning. Team number 5, please stand by.
The End and the Beginning by Wisława Szymborska. After every war, someone has to clean up. Things won't straighten themselves up after all.
Someone has to push the rubble to the side of the road so the cross-fell wagons can pass.
Someone has to get mired in scum and ashes,
Sofa springs
slender glass.
and bloody rags.
Someone has to drag in a girder to prop up a wall.
Someone has to glaze a window, rehang the door.
Photogenic, it's not, and takes years. All the cameras have left for another war.
We'll need the bridges back and new railway stations. Sleeves will go ragged from rolling them up.
Someone, broom in hand, still recalls the way it was.
Someone else listens and nods with unsevered head. But already there are those nearby starting to mill about who will find it all.
From out of the bushes, sometimes someone still unearths rusted out arguments and carries them to the garbage pile.
Those who knew what was going on here must make way for those who know little,
And less than little.
and finally as little as nothing.
In the grass that has overgrown, causes and effects, someone must be stretched out, blade of grass in his mouth, gazing at the clouds.
Thank you, team number 4. Let's welcome team number 5. The topic is when Jonas wraps this suffering clay.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we are going to recite When Coldness Wrapped His Suffering Clay by Lord Byron. When Coldness Wrapped His Suffering Clay. Ah, it is strange, the immoral mind.
It cannot die. It cannot stay.
The leaves is darkened dust behind. And, unboded, drove the strings. I step in each planet's heavenly way, or fill at once the rooms of space. A fin of eyes that survey
Eternal. Boundless. On decay. As though don't sing. To say no. Oh. Oh, in earth. Where skies display. Show every bay. Show every cove. Each winter trace that never repose. So darkly of departed years. In one broad glance, the soul beholds. And know that was I shall roll through chaos back. And where the farthest heaven had burst, the spirit tracks its rising track. And where the future mars or maze, is best delayed or out to be, while sound is quenched or system breaks, fixed in its own eternity. Above or love, hope, hate or fear, it leaves so passionless and pure. An age shall flee like earthly year, its years as moments shall endure. Away, away, without the wind, or oh, through oh, its thoughts shall fly. A nameless and eternal thing, forgetting what it was to die. When coldness wraps this suffering clay, ah, we the strangely immortal mind,
Above for love, hope,
hate or fear,
above for love,
passionless
and
hope,
pure.
hate or
In
fear,
age shall
above
flee
for
its
love,
passionless,
hope, pure,
its
hate
year
or
as
fear,
moments
in
shall
its
endure.
earthly year,
And
pure,
its
away,
years as
away,
moments
shall
shall
flee
now
like
away.
earthly year,
Away,
or
away,
without
through
the wind,
its thoughts shall
fly.
fly.
Through the
Its thoughts shall fly.
its thoughts shall
Forgetting
fly,
what
and
it was,
and
forgetting
forgetting what it was to die, what it was to die. When coldness wraps the suffering clay, away, away, without the wind, or out, through out, its thoughts shall fly, a nameless and eternal thing, forgetting what it was to die.
Forgetting what it was to die.
Thank you, team number 5. Now all the contestants finish their performance. Let's take a break while students start working on the results. Let's come back here in 20 minutes. Now refreshments are provided outside. Before you go, kindly help us scan this QR code and fill out the survey so we can improve for next term. And also, please know that no food is allowed in this auditorium. Thank you and see you later.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention? First, we would like to present the certificate of appreciation to our honorable judges. First, let's welcome Professor Tuan. Next, let's welcome Professor Denton. Thank you, Professor. Now, let's welcome Professor Gordon. like to invite the judges to give us some comments. First, let's welcome Professor Denton.
My voice is very loud, so it doesn't matter. First off, I'd like to say that each and every one of the groups did a fantastically good job. So there can only be 3 winners today, but in my opinion, all 5 showed excellent performance. Their recitation was good, etc. And we'll have more specific comments about that. What I would like to mention is a little bit about poetry in general, and then we'll get a little bit more specific as to your performances. Poetry is difficult, yeah. Okay. Because it's saying so much in so few words and in a very stylistic way. So that's why in today's world, very few people really appreciate poetry like they did before, because it takes effort, it takes work to work with poetry. Now, one of the things that we're going to discuss a little bit about is interpretation, which is 50 points on your score. Interpretation is sometimes difficult, and there can be, conventional interpretations that everybody agrees upon, and then there are also interpretations that are very, individual to yourself. You read it, and it touches you in a certain way, and that's what the poem means to you. So interpretation, even though it was worth so many points, is sometimes more difficult to grade, to mark, than we think. Because when I watch you perform, I'm watching your gestures, your movements, your voice, your emphasis, even the way you say a word, your enunciation, pronunciation. That shows a form of interpretation. Are you going to do this as a sad one or a happy one? Well, conventional may be this way, but you saw it a different way. So interpretation is difficult and very difficult to grade for judges. Your enunciation was, for the most part, very good. Pronunciation, which again is part of how you enunciate, it was very good. All 5 groups were well prepared, okay? And so I was very, very pleased to be able to watch and to really, seeing only 5 groups, I could really look at them much better than if we had 15 or 20 groups. So the 5 groups I was very, very impressed with. Once again, I think every single one of you did excellent. You really, really showed the poems you chose, and you interpreted them in very interesting ways. You presented them in interesting ways. So again, I think you did great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. Now, let's welcome Professor Tiwen.
Oh, yes. I'd like to second Professor Denton's point about how impressed he was about your performances in the poetry. I was too. I thought you 5 groups all did a very good job this afternoon. Professor Denton talked about how interpretation is, of course, the most important thing in reading a poem and understanding a poem. I felt that through your performances, I got to understand the poems that you presented better than I did at first. The very fact that they were presented to us in a certain interpretation made me think about, yeah, maybe that's a good point, or yes, interesting interpretation, but I'm not quite sure if I exactly agree with that. A few comments about your performances, or your interpretations actually of what you were doing. Let me begin saying a short thing about the first group who performed the Shield of Achilles. 3 people, and I think you did something quite interesting as 3 people, because how are you going to divide the poem? Who's going to read what? And the thing I noticed in the Shield of Achilles performance was that sometimes two people were talking together, and then a third person is speaking, and then these two people are talking together. I got a little bit of the idea of a chorus, which is sort of a classical notion of sort of giving the general opinion of the populace. And I felt that with one person speaking and two people talking together, it seemed as if the very issue that was at stake in the poem was being discussed by a kind of a chorus. I also want to say some things about the two people who did the Byron poem. Again, very interesting, sometimes very theatrical, with one group having actually a dead body lying here on the stage, right? And sort of hovering commentators on what it really means to be dead. And the poem, of course, tells us about what it means to be dead. But maybe unlike what you and also the other group, number 5, who also did the Byron thing, maybe a thing in which I kind of disagree with your interpretation about the Byron poem is, yes, it's a poem about death, but death is not automatically a sad thing. And I think that what Byron tries to say is that dying is not something horrible, it just means that you sort of enter into a new dimension, a dimension in which time and space are no longer boundaries, your body is no longer something that hampers you. So I had my personal interpretation of this poem was slightly more optimistic and slightly more mysterious than just saying death is terrible and we have to cry about that. So to me it was not so much a sad poem as it was to the two people who chose this poem. But Professor Denton was right when he said that interpretations are personal, that they depend on your age, the way in which you stand into life, and there's maybe it's just me that made me think in a different way about this poem. There's more to say, but I don't want to be saying everything because we have another professor who wants to give you some comments. So I'm ending here and making space for Professor Gordon.
Thank you, Professor Q. Next, let's welcome Professor Gordon.
Okay, so congratulations to all the groups for participating in today's competition. The three of us agreed that all 5 groups were very professional and the performances were all very good. There was not one team that gave a bad performance, and it was actually quite difficult to judge. The difference between 5th place team and the 1st place team was really very close. So it's a shame that today we have to finish with the first prize, 2nd and 3rd prize, because you were all very good in our opinions. Not only excellent performances, I'd also just like to say that well done on choosing to join a competition like this, because poetry, as Professor Denton said, is difficult. It's about interpreting a lot in a very few words. And more than that, it's also often, as with the poems you chose today, interpreting and pondering bigger and deeper questions in life. And I think these are really worthwhile questions to think about, and poetry does make us think about these things. So it's a good experience for you to be able to think about these deeper questions, and also a very good experience for you to get up on the stage and build self-confidence, build teamwork, etc. So I really recommend continuing to join these types of competitions. They're really worthwhile, useful and character-building competitions. Now, both professors have already chatted, or mentioned, not chatted, mentioned interpretation as 50%. So it was the biggest criteria that we judged on. as we said, teamwork, professional performances were all very good. Now, interpretation is individual. There is no correct answer. We're not looking at math here. So this, as Rudy said, his interpretation of the Byron poem was slightly more optimistic, but we discussed it and we said we agree that each team has the right to their own interpretations. And I was going to just finish by talking a little bit about the end and the beginning. It is a very interesting poem, okay, and we discussed one team's interpretation with the echo when we were talking about the different performances. And the echo was an interesting choice to put in for the end and the beginning. And I think it's acceptable to do something like this because the echo could be be seen as it is the echo of the war, because the war is over, but yet it is not over. All around us there is still debris, there is still remnants of the war. So it was quite an interesting interpretation, and it's nice to see you coming up with ideas like this. So the echo of the war that will eventually become nothing was mentioned in the poem. So this is acceptable, and individual interpretation is okay, and we encourage it. However, interpretation is good, to have your interpretation, but you also must execute your reading of the poem or your interpretation of the poem effectively. So with a recitation of poetry, remember we have to be able to hear every word clearly. So as here with the echo, there was some competition in voices, and sometimes if we did not have the poem to be able to read in front of us, it could have had difficulties for us to understand all of the poem. So all of you, you had very interesting interpretations for your poetry, for your poems, but just be careful to, when you do your performance, to make sure that everything can be heard, every word can be heard, because in poetry every word is important. Anyway, I think we've given you enough comments. You all did a fantastic job. Good luck to you all, and it doesn't matter who gets first or fifth, it was all worthwhile, and you all did a great job.
Thank you, and thank the judges again for your encouragement and insightful comments. Now it's time to announce the winners. We would like to invite the winners to come on stage after names are announced. And now, the third place goes to team number 4 from Wenzhou Ursula University of Languages, Jamie, Christine Yap, and Zhou Peichen.
Let's invite Professor Gordon to present the award.
And now, the second place. Second place goes to team number 4 from National Yuli University of Science and Technology, Ong Lijie. Oh, I'm sorry, my mistake. The second place goes to team Chile University of Technology from Liu Xiuwen, and Huang Yunrou.
Let's invite Professor Chu Wen to present the award. Professor Chuan.
Now for the prize you're waiting for, the championship. The championship goes to National Yunlin University of Science and Technology. 汪以杰、张晋峰、张佩琪。
Let's invite Professor Denton to present the award.
Congratulations to all the winners.
Thank you, Professor Denton.
This is the end of 2019 文藻盃 National English Poetry Reading Contest. Again, thank you for your participation.
We wish you a wonderful weekend and
See you next year.
And before you leave, may I have everyone to come up to the stage for taking the photo?
Yes, everybody, please come on stage for a group photo. Come on. Everybody, the judges, the guests, everyone. Smile bigger, where are your smiles? Okay.
And now let's have winners and judges to have the photo.
Yep. Can we have only the judges and winners remain on stage for a group photo? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Cheers! Y'all should look happier. Thank you!
Thank you.
Thank you all for participating in this contest, and we will see you next year.